In the Enneagram, you have every single type in you to varying degrees. You're going to call on different behaviors of yourself based on what you're needing in a moment. And that's the genius of life. But what the Enneagram is concerned with is, well, what is motivating you doing that in the first place? What are the fears that you have inside of you that are driving certain behaviors? What are the defense mechanisms? What are your vulnerabilities? What are you avoiding? That's what the Enneagram's looking at.
Hi, I'm Yolanda, and this is the Curious Exchange, a live interactive event in Cape Town where we have conversations that can support you in living a happier, healthier, more conscious life. Brought to you by experts who are passionate about their topics. You know, it's really amazing bringing people together in a room, but 99.9% of the time, when somebody cares about the Curious Exchange, they ask me, is it a podcast? So to be able to say yes to them and to also spread the wisdom that our incredible speakers have to share with a broader audience, this is the online edition. In this edition, we feature Natasha Epstein. She's chatting to us about the Enneagram, a powerful personality profiling tool that helps us understand ourselves and each other better. See if you can spot your type. Let's dive in. Thank you so much for joining us. The Enneagram is honestly a topic that I have been obsessed with for a few years, and it's just been such an incredible tool. And so when Natasha spoke to me, I was like, yes, let's do it. So I'm so excited. It's a long time coming. So I'm really excited. So just a quick little intro on this wonderful woman sitting next to me. I'll do my best. It'll just be the tip of the iceberg. So Natasha is a qualified attorney. She did an undergraduate in finance, but she, luckily for us, she shifted from law to human development. And since 2011, she's been an accredited facilitator, speaker, and coach. She actually specializes in a whole range of modalities, including human design, the gene keys, and tonight what we'll be discussing is the Enneagram. And you've been obsessed with the Enneagram since you were 18.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Which we'll find out about. I mean, that's just incredible. And she is giving away a free feedback session after you've done the Enneagram analysis online. I've used Integrative 9 as a website. You can always tell us afterwards if there's a better one. But once you've done that, Natasha has kindly offered a free feedback session. And myself, having done that with a life coach, it's really, really, really adds a lot of value to get a professional to help you understand your type. All right. So thank you so much. All right, so let's just start there with how the hell did you go from being, into law and finance to human development? If you can just share a bit about your journey.
Always been absolutely obsessed with human behavior and just the wonderment of the psyche and the way that we behave and the patterns involved in our behavior. And I remember quite clearly while I was doing my articles, I was sitting in a meeting we were in insolvency, and I was sitting in a meeting with my director and his clients. I was an article clerk. I didn't know anything. But what I did know was that the interaction wasn't normal. And why was that? Because here was a man who was losing his business. And I recall so deeply how my principal, my director, was taking notes. So he didn't even look up at this human being. And I remember sitting there thinking, this is not for me. I was analyzing the behavior. I wasn't even remotely interested in the tactics of the case. And so I realized, no, human behavior is where my passion is. And I qualified and I left. It was just clear.
Wow, that must have been a really great experience to go, cheers, I'm out.
Pretty much.
Beautiful, thank you. And tell me, having been obsessed with it myself for a while, I struggle with this. I'm so keen to hear what you'll say. If you were stuck in a lift with someone and you had 30 seconds to explain what is the Enneagram, so basically an elevator pitch.
Okay.
How would you, I won't time you, but
no, so if you,
how would you describe it?
If you If you wanted to understand every thought you've ever had, every feeling you've ever felt, and every action you've ever taken, and want to understand why that is repetitive in nature, and want to know what you can do to stop doing some of the things or continue, that's the Enneagram. It is an understanding into the greater parts of your psyche and why you show up the way that you do.
Well, okay. That's not what I would have said, but it's much deeper. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's I don't know what I would say. It's like I always go to the layman's terms.
Personality
Obviously,
profiling
it's a
tool.
personality profiling tool. Yeah.
And it's not really. That's the thing. It's not, if you think about all the other, behavioral assessments, like your insights and your MBTI and your social styles, they're all really dealing with the very tip of the iceberg of behavior. Very 5% of behavior that lives at the top. And the Enneagram is really interested in the core fractal pattern of who you are at the minuscule, at the microcosmic level of yourself.
Jeez. Okay, so you've touched on it now. Maybe can you tell us a little bit about like how does the Enneagram differ from, so many people, I'm sure, I mean, who's heard of Myers-Briggs, right? Okay, who has heard of the Enneagram before buying a ticket? I guess you have heard about it, yeah. So what is the difference between the Enneagram and something like the Myers-Briggs? There's also 16 personalities, and I'm sure there's a whole range of personality profiling tools. How would you describe the difference?
It's just we're not really interested in behavior. So in the Enneagram, you have every single type in you to varying degrees. You're gonna call on different behaviors of yourself based on what you're needing in a moment. And that's the genius of life. But what the Enneagram is concerned with is, well, what is motivating you doing that in the first place? What are the fears that you have inside of you that are driving certain behaviors? What are the defense mechanisms? What are your vulnerabilities? What are you avoiding? That's what the Enneagram's looking at. And that's why, oftentimes people can mistype on an assessment, and choosing the right assessment is so important, because depending on where you're at, what stress levels you're under, what roles you're trying to play, it all comes into fact with finding what your core type actually is.
And now you just touched on it. Which analysis do you recommend online? I mentioned the Integrative 9.
Look, by far the Integrative 9 is the most accurate, without a doubt. But even in that one, a lot of corporate environments will insist on it from a team dynamic perspective. Even in that one, there's still often mistypes. People are moving roles, they are stressed at work, they're going through divorce. If your life is not absolutely steady, to really know that that type is reliable can be quite difficult to do.
I'm sure, yeah. And we're obviously multidimensional people. Definitely myself. I don't like being boxed in, and I'm pretty sure nobody likes being boxed in. Because we're multidimensional, and so. Can you share a little bit with us about, how does the Enneagram not box us in?
It's a good question. So we're moving, right? I mean, if you just look at the imagery of the Enneagram, you're literally moving around the Enneagram in different moments. I mean, these are known as your stress and integration lines. So depending on what's going on for you, you're going to shift into a different type because this is what you're needing in that moment. But also, again, the Enneagram is not boxing you, because it's not really interested in why you're behaving in a certain way or what you're behaving as. So if you're familiar with insights, I was speaking to a gentleman earlier, to be green means you're approachable and you're easygoing and maybe you're adaptable, and that's a box, because now I see you as green and you're always adaptable, but maybe today you're actually just blue. And that's the beauty of this, is that it's not doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's almost like moment by moment, really. What you're saying is, and in my layman's learning of the Enneagram, and not all coaches uses the wing function, I guess you could call it. I'm a 7. Who knows their Enneagram type? Okay, great. All right, we'll hear more. I'm a 7, the enthusiastic visionary, or the epicure as we're called. And I know that I edge towards 6, which would be my wing
wing.
6. Do you work with wings? How do you feel about wings?
So for me, what's more pertinent in the Enneagram is the instincts, which I'm happy to share about. The wings, look, your old Enneagram authors spoke a lot about the wings, and that if you have a 6 wing, right, you are behaviorally going to show up a lot more like a 6 than you would an 8 as a 7. And there's an entirely different archetype that's created as a result of that wing. The latest Enneagram research says we have both. In my experience, what I'm finding in the last 18 years and suppose 14 years of practice is that people do have a true wing. And what I find actually happens is they're stealing the psychodynamics of the wing without really meaning to do so. So though you might have the psychodynamic of 7, there's a lot of 6 that comes through in a psychodynamic, from a psychodynamic perspective. Whereas, when you learn about it, they speak more about behavior. So I find that really fascinating in the wing. Yeah.
Oh. And can you tell us a little bit about under high stress and under low stress? And you're just using my layman's terms. Can you talk a little bit about how that works on the diagram?
So again, old research would tell you have a stress line and you have an integration line. So if you're sitting, for example, at an 8, we know from learning that the integration line is for the 8 to become more like a 2. The 8 is really controlling, really demanding, really intense, right? Really angry. And the 2 is really soft and inviting and receptive and welcoming and tender. So what the 8...
Sorry, before we continue, just to explain, for everyone that doesn't know, what the integration line means.
Yes. So I kind of like to explain it like this. If you are in a river and you're swimming along and everything's okay, and all of a sudden there is a crocodile, and you know the crocodile is faster than you in this river. So there's a tree in front of you, or you can carry on swimming to the end of the riverbank. You're probably going to climb the tree. And that's really what the integration line is that in moments of deep stress, you can choose to integrate, to climb the tree, and to move across a line that is going to enhance your situation rather than try and swim to the end of the riverbank, which is the stress line. And so each line on the Enneagram is holding that natural stress for us, and the invitation with the Enneagram is to pull on the integration rather. But again, the latest Enneagram research says you can pull on both, like integrate into both. Don't rely on the one that's more natural for you to integrate into.
So as an example, to use myself, I'm a 7, and so I call it low stress is the integration line, right? Is that
Perfect? Nothing wrong.
I feel like I'm your student. You're like, yes, Yolanda. Little silver star for you. So as a 7, my low stress integration line is 5.
Yes.
So when I'm feeling like, okay, cool, I'm in flow, things are going well, then you take on some of those qualities of I take on some of the qualities of the 5, and I become more investigative. I'll research things to depth, versus, and we're going to do a little rapid fire of each type. So we're going to go through each type very quickly, so you can learn a little bit about each type. But the 7 is, loves an adventure, does everything, never finishes anything. And so under low stress, okay, I can finish things. I can get deeper into things. And then under high stress, the 1, oh my gosh, the perfectionist. What a bitch. I'll be very judgy, and
Exactly.
So I've learned, All right, thank you so much for explaining, Are there any questions so far?
Could you please just very quickly introduce the model and what each number is? and what the lines are, because I've heard a couple of them, but I'm not really sure what I'm looking at yet.
Sure, I know that's part of Yolanda's plan.
So we're going to go into more detail, but maybe just say maybe the names and the lines. Yeah.
Is that what you're looking for? The names, the archetypes? Yeah, with pleasure. So you get the 8, which is the controller or the active controller, the 9, which is the peacekeeper, the 1, which is the perfectionist, I personally prefer reformer, the 2, which is the helper, the 3, which is the achiever, the 4, which is the creative or the dreamer, rather, the 5, which is the specialist, the 6 is the skeptic, the 7 is the visionary. Yeah.
And what do those lines mean between the 9?
So like we were saying, it's the stress and integration. So it's the tree with the crocodile. So there's a natural way that we lead when we're stressed, and we move to the stress type quite naturally. So if you are sitting at a 3 as an example, you're going to stress to the 9. Whereas the invitation in the Enneagram is to rather integrate into the 6 than stress into the 9. Yeah, so there's the inner triangle, and then the rest of them are connected on the outside.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Matt. All right. Anybody else? And we're going to...
I just wanted to find out, is there like quite a big difference between, for example, the Enneagram and I think it was Lumina splash profiles?
Yeah.
Because it feels like a lot of the sort of color representations and the numbers and stuff kind of feed into similar lines or archetypes of what people are and how they react to things.
If I am thinking of the right tool, because I have heard of Lumina, in fact, I've done the Lumina assessment. So if it's the same one, it is different in that the Enneagram is not behavioral. That's the difference. So anytime you're wondering what the difference is between the Enneagram and any personality profiling tool, it's motivational. It's looking at the psychodynamic value of you, not the behavioral side of you. So though tools like that would have your reactive natures in them, it's still behavioral.
Okay, versus motivational.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was a question here.
I just wanted to understand if someone could change archetypes during the course of their life.
It's a great question.
Great question. Can our type change?
It cannot, is the simple answer. So the Enneagram is not simple in that it is all based on integration. So Yolanda as a 7 will be a 7 throughout her life, but a highly integrated versus a lowly integrated 7. So the more self-aware she becomes, the more work that she does, the less her 7 will use her. So the ego, because these are our ego projections into form, the ego will not be as predominant and the behavior will change so she doesn't look so 7-ish. But that doesn't mean she shifted her type. However, and this is a big however, in the context of deep trauma, so remember, this is all neuroscientific. It's all based on the wiring of the brain. And with epigenetics, we know that the brain can change. So if there is something profound that happens for somebody, like the death of, God forbid, a child, or something really that is going to rewire their entire brain, I would suggest that it is possible that they could shift to a type like a 6, a really deep stress type, as an example. Sure.
Amazing, yeah.
But it's unlikely.
Thank you so much. All right, so without further ado, we're going to quickly go through the types and then hold on to a sec, just so that we can get through all of them. We don't want to leave out the 9. Or the 1.
None of them.
All right, so we're going to do this as quick fire as possible. So buckle up your seats. We're going to go through this, and I think we have basically 3 minutes for each type.
That's a lot.
It's like, you've got this. Yeah. And if you can, guys, we're going to start with 2. And if you can just introduce the triad.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready? Is everybody ready? Are you ready? All right. Number 2. What's the name? And give it to us.
So the 2 is the considerate helper. The world view for the 2 is that I only have worth if I am needed. And so what you have is somebody out there in the world looking to meet everybody else's needs. Nurturing, caring, really want to be involved in everybody else's lives, wants to kind of feel into other people. They'll walk into a room and they'll just kind of feel. You'll just time me, hey? They'll just kind of feel what's happening in the room. They'll know who needs them. Can be very seductive, can be very adaptable. So they're very good at like, I can feel you need something from me, but I know I need something from you too. So I'm going to move towards you in a compliant fashion, seduce you, manipulate you, get to know you better, so that hopefully ultimately you can meet my needs.
Okay.
That's
So the
really
core
what
motivation is?
I need to meet other people's needs.
Okay. Time. Number 4. Number 3.
Number 3.
Sorry, number 3.
So the worldview is that so the competitive achiever, worldview, the world only values people who are successful. So I must be successful no matter what. And so again, you have a really adaptable person who reads people very well, but doesn't feel them the way they read them. They're just watching behavior. And for them, everything is about success. So they're mirroring your behavior in an attempt to be the best in the room. Highly competitive, highly ambitious, like really much about how does the world perceive me and what act do I need to put on? How can I perform such that I am valuable?
And to touch on these, we're starting with the 2 and moving on to 2, 3, 4 because it is the heart, the feeling triad.
That's quite, I'm almost kind of going to say yes. So there's 3 triads. There's the feeling center, the thinking center, and the action center, the body center. But there's quite a lot of complexity that lives in there because you have a main type in each center that creates a tri-type, which creates an entirely different archetype of behavior for you. You land up feeling in a certain way, thinking in a certain way, acting in a certain way. There's quite a layer of complexity there, which may be,
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, we're doing good. And number 4, what is that called? And
so the 4 is the creative or the dreamer. The worldview is that the world, it's not the world needs to be better. It's that I need to find meaning in the world. I need to find my meaning. What am I here for? What is my authenticity? And so for them, they're creative. They're all about like, feeling, again, that when they feel into a room, you'll notice all these types feel into a space. They'll feel into a room because they want to assess, where am I not included? They tend to feel like a black sheep. And the reason for that is because their motivation is, I want to be different. I want to be unique. But in trying hard to be so different and unique, very much Van Gogh, in trying so hard, they feel a lot of pain, but that's where they become their most creative, their most expressive.
All right, moving swiftly on to number 5. What is it called?
So the 5 is the beginning of the thinking triad, and it is the problem solver or the specialist, and that's literally what they are. So for them, they want to conserve resources. They feel like the world is a place that just takes. So they become really hard and controlling with what they have, whether it be time, energy, money, you name it. I've got to hold on to it tightly. But the most important thing for them is knowledge. So they spend their whole lives researching, like a Stephen Hawking type, Albert Einstein, that's your typical 5. Like, I need to know everything about this thing. I need to make sense of it so that I can move into the world. But they very seldom do. They live very much here.
Funny story that you actually just reminded me of is I did know about the Enneagram, but I hadn't read anything yet. And I go on this date with a guy and I tell him about it. He goes online, gets completely obsessed, sends me a brilliant, there's a brilliant video. It's broken up actually in different types by Richard Rohr, who is a ex-pope. No, sorry, not pope. What's the other thing? Priest. He's an ex-priest turned human development person. Anyway, so this guy sends me a video of Richard Rohr, and guess what type he was? He's a 5. I mean, they go in. Yeah. They go in.
Which is why they're on your line. Because where your energy is like here, they're like here.
Right. Yeah. Beautiful. All right, we're doing great with time. Number 6, name and...
So the 6 is the skeptic. And the worldview for the 6 is that the world is a very unsafe and threatening place. And as a result, their motivation is safety and security. And they never really feel that. So they kind of don't trust anybody. They have massive issues with authority. are the most loyal and committed people you will ever meet. Like once they're in, they're not getting out. But really like burdened by the stress and strain of feeling like they live in a world that really isn't safe. Please take into consideration the fact that the instincts, which we haven't spoken about in the Enneagram, change the type's behavior entirely, depending on what instinct you're pulling into the Enneagram type. So you actually get 3 types in each Enneagram type on top of the type itself. Yeah.
Is it the social?
Social, self-preservation, and sexual.
Oh, I mean, so it's a lot to take in. There's never enough time to go deep into all of it.
But the reason I mention it in the context of the 6 is because it's a very difficult type to type because they behave so differently with their fears.
So just touch on the 3 different types within the type. It's the
self-preservation, so sexual and social. So self-preservation instincts are associated with the right to exist. So interestingly, the people who wanted the lighting to kind of be right, or the aircon, are very self-preservation kind of people, because it's all about my physical environment, making sure I survive through my physical environment being in order. The sexual instinct is about the right to be loved. So for people coming into the room in a sexual instinct, the only thing they care about is, who's my person? Where am I sitting? Am I going to get along with this person?
It's a one-on-one. It's not that kind of sexual.
Yes and no.
And no.
Yes and no. But yes, it's one-on-one. And the social instinct is belonging. It's like, where do I belong? So it's kind of wanting to pull groups of people together, and the kind of person who would maybe want to talk to Yolanda because she's the host and want to introduce themselves versus just go sit down. So those 3 instincts show up completely differently within each Enneagram type.
Beautiful. Thank you. Oh, I'm loving this. All right, the 7.
7. So the worldview for the 7 is that the world is an exciting place full of opportunity, and they believe that they make it more delightful. They do.
I mean, Richard Rohr even says it's a great, if you Google Richard Rohr, R-O-H-R, he's got such a great sense of humor. And he'll go, oh, the 7s, a smile is just so easy on their faces. And he's a 1, and he'll say, it's so hard to put a smile on my face.
It's true.
You know, he really...
It's true.
Apparently also the life of the party, I'm just saying.
Yes. So joy and enthusiasm, like that's their thing. That's the value. Like how much joy and enthusiasm can I inject into a space? Like you mentioned, they always, possibility and planning, like those are the 2 words for a 7. All about the future, all about what's possible in the future, and planning for the next adventure. Like struggle to stay in the tediousness of a moment. So that's where completion can be quite tricky.
And we avoid pain. So that is that's what's been so fascinating, and something that I've really through my own personal journey have learned to sit still, literally sit still, not go, oh, let me do this, oh, let me go do that, oh, literally sit still, be okay with boredom and pain and emotional stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It's been a journey, but I'd like to think of myself as a healthy 7 at this stage. Yeah.
And each type is avoiding something, right? I mean, we haven't gone there, but every type is avoiding something. So yeah, yours is just discomfort.
Mine is just pain, yeah. All right, we're doing good for time. The 8.
The 8. So the active controller's worldview is that basically they're invincible. You're dealing with a Donald Trump. So there are unlimited resources. I have all the power and I'm taking it. And the motivation is strength and control. So ultimately, results, action. If you're weak, goodbye. If you're strong, you're welcome. I'm not tolerating bullshits can be really intense and aggressive. Obviously, if they're not enlightened, and just really wanting more power. Ultimately,
the challenger.
Yeah.
Number 9,
peacekeeper. So the worldview, for the peacekeeper, is that the world is a disharmonious place, and it's their job to make it more harmonious. So they are driven to bring harmony. They are driven to avoid conflict, and they're adaptable and they're approachable, and they struggle with decision making. And sometimes with a 9, you kind of want to switch them on a little bit. They might feel a little bit switched off energy-wise because they would rather just not ruffle the apple cart. That's really important to them.
Wow, great. Number one.
Number one. Strict perfectionist, or like I said, the reformer. And the worldview is that the world is a place that needs improving, and it's my responsibility to improve it. So they will notice the fact that your shoelaces are a different color to your shoe, and you've got a tag that's hanging from your clothing, and why are these nuts sticking out in the floor? So for them, all imperfections are the things that capture their attention, and they are driven to correct it. Yes, OCD, possibly in the self-preservation one, very possibly, but it's a striving for betterment. It's Nelson Mandela was a social one. So it's the embodiment often of integrity and not necessarily the minutiae. Yeah, depends on the one.
And this triad is the gut,
Yes.
body, action. How do you describe it?
So for me, it's a body triad because a lot of their stuff, the anger and control issues that the 8, 9, and 1 are dealing with live in the body. So for the 8, the anger and control is very much, it makes them big. An 8 will walk into the room and they suck the air out of it with them. A 9 walks into the room and it's like, I'm like, am I here? It's okay if I'm not here. Like, I don't need to talk to anyone. I can disappear. So you can kind of feel that. And the 1 is very much in their body, like very self-controlled, lots of rigidity and repressed anger happening there. So you can really feel them, feel their body. Yeah.
And it's such a fascinating thing when you learn more and more about the types that you start to recognize it's in people, even though I know it's a dangerous thing to do to typecast people. Because and also to allow people to be who they are in the moment. As you said, it really is moment by moment that we are accessing different things and energies. But on that note, so how would you describe what is the biggest value of using the Enneagram for people?
So for me, and I'll speak for myself, what the value was the realization that I was being used by a program that was living inside of my brain, quite literally, like the Matrix. So everything that was happening in my world was as a result of this belief that I held about the world. So my worldview held my reality. And I didn't feel like I had free choice outside of that worldview. So here are these things that I believe, and I keep attracting proof of that into my reality, and then I keep reacting. And so the pattern continues. That's the fractal. The value was in knowing my motivation, my avoidance, and my defense mechanisms, and catching those at every point along the way. I had a choice, right? I could say, like, do I want to be used by my type, or do I want to express the gift? And that's been, God, that's changed everything.
Beautiful.
Everything.
Wow, beautiful. Sure. Any other questions?
What's that for you?
I think, yeah.
Next question. I'd never tell.
So with reframing your limiting beliefs and reframing the mind, you said that these Enneagram, your numbers can change. But I also know with your limiting beliefs, you always hold this somewhere. It just doesn't mean it's active, and you find ways to bypass, with positive beliefs and your cognitive behavioral therapy tools or whatever. Can these things align in that kind of way? So could we use the structure with clients if we're already, I actually went on ChatGPT quickly and I was like, how do you find out your Enneagram? And it's interesting because the first question that they asked was, what you were saying, your psychodynamics. So it's the first question is, what are your limiting beliefs, basically? Which I know with my clients, those can shift. So is it the same way as where you find your...
So it's a very similar question to this, Jen. Do the old limiting beliefs still live inside of me? To a degree, yes. The intensity of them is less, and the amount of times that they come up is less. So in very stressful situations, of course, those old limiting patterns are going to be there because they are there. They are embedded. It's like, if you want to break one match, it's easy. But when a neural pathway has solidified itself for 40 odd years, to break that pathway, it's pretty hard to do. So it depends on when you start journeying through this. So sure, they're always going to be there, but the behaviors around them change. And so once you start creating another belief next to that limiting belief, and that becomes more solid because of your habitual behaviors and all the CBT stuff, you can live a very if I had to, I won't tell you my type, but where I am today, I don't look like that type behaviorally. Yeah.
Amazing, yeah. There's and I mean there's so much to the Enneagram. I mean it's we actually haven't even touched on this. If you can share a little bit about, well, sorry before there's just so much to touch on that. Something that I learned through a course that I did was that each type actually has like a core limiting belief, and then fascinatingly, that core limiting belief is either father-derived, mother-derived, or quite neutral. That might be a controversial statement, but I've learned the 7 it's a father-derived wound as a child. Something happens to us. We tell ourselves something about ourselves, and that forms a lot of our personality. And my core limiting belief is I do not have enough. I don't have capacity. I have to keep learning. I have to add more and more and more because I don't have enough. That's
to me, yeah.
Yeah. So and for each type, there's something like that. So that's maybe something to look into. And what I have learned personally is just that, okay, that's never going to change. It's recognizing when the pattern comes up and behavior comes up that reinforces that and choosing something else. I don't know if that helps. Yeah. Any other questions before? Yeah.
What I wanted to ask was the relationship between beliefs and feelings. Do I act because of my feelings, or do I act because of my belief?
Great question.
Do I control my feelings? Do I control my beliefs? What is that relationship?
I mean, you're asking like a deep neuroscience
between
question here.
feelings and beliefs and just something like that. I'd love
Which
that.
comes first? So I don't know which came first, right? If I think about, so all the neuroscientific research I've done, and I've done a lot because it feeds all the work I do, I know that the feeling probably creates the belief. So mom is screaming and shouting about something. I feel like I've done something wrong. So the belief is there's something wrong with me. Possibly that's when it starts early on. Now, I think it's the other way around. I think based on the work and research I've done, the belief triggers the feeling. So if I live in a type 3 and I believe I'm the best in the room, and I walk into the room, I will feel like the best because that is my belief. And so my feeling will follow.
Following on the belief and feeling, the order thereof, my understanding is the thought creates the feeling, which becomes a belief, which makes it true. So it's really trying to catch your thoughts.
Oh, now?
In the moment.
Now.
Yeah.
I imagine so, but the belief is kind of set already. So the belief is the worldview. So the belief, if we look at the one, the belief that the worldview that the world needs perfecting, that there's something wrong with the world, that there's something wrong with everybody in this room. How can I make it better? Therefore, because I hold that worldview, when I meet you, I can think about something that's wrong with you. And therefore, so I think at this stage, yes, the belief almost precedes it. Neuroscientifically, I could be completely wrong. I'd be interested to speak to a neuroscientist about it. And so because I'm not entirely 1,000, it's just my feeling, my gut sense is the belief now at 40 precedes the thoughts and feelings. Yeah.
And one other thing, it is on my personal notes of being identified or classified as a number 4. When I went to an integrated workshop on integrating the shadow, is it the wing where I'm more living in the 7 now? Is that
That would
the
be your
wing?
triad type.
Yeah, and I'm definitely like going out more, partying more. I'm not that like sad empath alone. Number 4, which really stemmed from when you said influenced by father or mother. I think that aloneness was from a sibling. Well, I know from not being included. And to this day, I'm like, oh my God, they didn't invite me. Oh my God, please invite me. So
The four will often compare themselves negatively against an other. So a sibling is the most obvious other to compare themselves to, because the envy is a big part of the four's nature. So they need a somebody to compare to feel less than. The self-preservation 4 looks very much like a 7 though. Yeah,
Is this something that emerges in early childhood?
great question.
Because we're talking about beliefs, feelings, and then there's a knowing that is there before all of that.
So I love that question because, so Yolanda mentioned I do gene keys and human design as well. And for anybody who understands the genetics of those, that's based on your birth data or based on the I Ching. For every single client who sees me for gene keys and human design, I can see their Enneagram type in their charts, which basically means it's got nothing to do with your childhood. I can see their channels. Every single channel is indicative of their Enneagram type. All of their shadows, basically the gene key shadows live in the Enneagram in a microcosmic fashion. So, and that knowing that for me has been also massively healing, because all the blame, mom did this and dad did this. Well, actually, no, it was going to happen anyway.
It was in your,
So
it was
it's
in your
interesting.
stars.
Yeah.
And that's a great, thank you for the question. It's been fascinating for me also to see, I've done my human design chart, and I have an astrologer that I see maybe once every 2 years. It's all aligned. It's all aligned with my Enneagram type. And just by the way, I mean, Yolanda, version 2.0, 5 years ago, none of this was a reality for me. I was very, let's say blind or cynical about any of it. And then, met the right astrologer and did a 180 and then Enneagram and all of it. It's
Amazing.
It's all connected. And just maybe last question. There is something divine about the Enneagram, and I think Richard Rohr touches on it a little bit, and I haven't seen a lot of literature on it, but the Enneagram has existed for centuries in some form.
Pythagorean, yeah.
Yeah, do you want to just share a little bit about that?
I know that, look, they know very little about
Yeah.
it. So it was expounded on in the 60s by Chazo and Naranjo. And, the basis of the Enneagram lives in Pythagoras. I mean, it's a very mathematical tool. And my getting of that is because it's fractal. Like, it is the very core fractal of who you are. And every single pattern that you have had lives within that worldview. Literally all of them. I mean, so it's all held in that container. So yeah, that's maths.
Last question.
At the risk of being
And we love that.
hated upon.
No, we love that.
We love a risk. Sorry, speak up, please. Risk.
Did you just compare astrology to Enneagram? And were you serious? What were you trying to say about astrology and Enneagram? And was there a link between the two for you?
Yes.
Really?
Next episode. So, to answer this as quickly as possible, Yolanda 5 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it was like astrology. But my logic said to me, okay, well, I believe in energy. Everything is energy. Energy is science. That's not something you make up. Everything is energy. It's not woo-woo. Everything is energy. And so my logic was like, okay, logically, maybe it makes sense that, the planet has a certain type of energy, and whatever. And when you're born, this thing, it maybe, but that was my view, right, originally. And then I saw this astrologer, Diane Goldberg, and the things that came out of that, I kid you not, like 180. I went from, not so sure, to, oh, it's science and it's maths. And I'm not, this is not to convince anybody. I wouldn't dare, because Yolanda back then didn't. It's all energy. And so...
Can I help you?
And so, yes, that's
How much do you know about astrology?
Yeah, okay. Let's go with very little.
Okay, and also I'm assuming there's a cynicism involved in that.
Well,
which is great. We love that.
Yeah.
Bring the challenge into the space.
It's just super hard not to be cynical.
So I get that. Astrology is patterns. It's patterns. The science of astrology lives in the patterns, the repeated patterns of what astrologers have seen throughout the times when certain planets are doing certain things. You cannot deny the fact that the planet is made up of 70% water. You are made up of 70% water. When there is full moon, there are tides. Therefore, that water body is being moved by the moon. Water, esoterically, is held in emotion, right? This is what astrology believes. Whether you choose to agree with that, I understand, is your choice. So therefore, the moon represents emotions in us. Where the moon is in your astrological chart has a lot to say about your emotions. Why there is a comparison, if you look at something like Gene Keys and Human Design, which is founded in astrology because it's the time, date, and place of your birth, your Enneagram type is literally mapped out on those charts. So the Enneagram is very much a behavioral tool. Don't get me wrong. I use it in corporate environments. I work with teams. Like Nestle was an example of a team today. You're dealing with, corporates who are like, bring this in. Let's talk about our behaviors and our triggers and our vulnerabilities. But as a coach, as a spiritual coach, because that's important for me too, there is absolutely a connection between the two when you start looking at both and you understand both and how they work. There is. I invite you to explore that.
Challenger over there. That is unfortunately all the time that
Thanks,
we have.
Yolanda.
I love this topic so much, as you can tell. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a quick break. Give a round of applause.